All right, so now that we've done our simple job, let's go back to our emails and look at our slightly more complicated job that involves a little bit of travel. All right, so here's our email, and it's from David, and David writes, "My name is David, and I work at PRST Architects here in New York. One of our colleagues referred us to you after seeing the work you did on their projects in LA, and we loved your work. We wanted to get in touch to discuss shooting a project we've just completed in New York City. We recently renovated a boutique hotel to return it to its original Art Deco glory while putting a new modern twist on it. That being said, we're looking at completing photography sometime in the next couple months and probably think we'll need 15 to 20 pictures, 1 or 2 exteriors, maybe 10 shots of different room types, and various shots of the amenities and features. Pool, rooftop deck, entryway, etc. Do you have a rough ballpark estimate for what something like this would cost? We are relatively flexible with timing, but want to get everything while it is still fresh. Feel free to reach out with any questions and I'll get back to you as soon as I can." So just like the last job, this one is relatively straightforward. There are certain things that we can deduce from this email that will help us put together our estimate. Now, this was a referral from another client I've worked with in the past. That means they kind of vetted me, they know who I am, they like me, and they're probably pretty keen to work with me. So I'm not too worried about overbidding or underbidding. I feel like I can charge what I've charged my other clients and get away with it just fine because I'm assuming that they've communicated about that while they were in discussions. I also know that this project is in New York City, so we're going to have to deal with some travel. I live in LA, and it's going to take me a bit of effort to round up my entire crew and get them out there. Lastly, I know they're going to need 15 to 20 pictures because this is a little bit bigger job than a house. We're going to have a lot of ground to cover and a lot of moving of equipment and different lighting conditions to work with. Now, lastly, he says he's flexible with timing, which means I can take a deep breath, put together an estimate that covers all the bases, and get this back to him maybe within a day or two, but it does not have to be an immediately turned around thing like it would for a real estate shoot. So let's take all this information, go into Blinkbid, and put together our estimate. Okay, so we're going to create a new job. This is going to be for David Penfirst in New York City, and we can add a new contact. Okay, so we've created our new job and filled it out with all the relevant information. We've got the name of the job number, my contact's name and information, and a quick job description, which is create 15 to 20 images at a New York City hotel for the architecture firm. Interior and exterior images will be produced and retouched to client specifications, featuring the hotel rooms, amenities, exteriors, and common spaces. And the job will be shot on location in New York City at a date to be determined. Lastly, the photos will be delivered via digital download, very similar to our last job. So let's go ahead and click Create. And again, here is our Blinkbid, our estimate. So what we're going to do is just like the last job, click on this flyout, and I'm going to add a photographer's fee. Okay, so this is going to be basically exactly the same as our last job, except I'm going to have the time set to 2 days at a rate of $2,500. So when I save it, what we get is a photographer's fee of $5,000 for 2 days, and then I can add a post-production fee, and this is post-production for 2 days of photography. This includes all blemish removal, lighting adjustments, exposure merging, color correction, perspective adjustments, and an extra round of retouching and final adjustments. We'll go ahead and click Save, and now this is where things start to get interesting. For these travel jobs, you have a lot more to consider. So let's go ahead and in this flyout box, I'm gonna scroll down, and what we're gonna get to is the travel box down here. And obviously we're flying to New York from LA, so we've got to come up with a number for airfares. So I'm going to go ahead and add airfares here. It's going to show up on my left-hand side. I know we're going to have baggage fees. I know we're going to have car rental. I know we're going to have a hotel that you have to stay in. We're going to have meals we're going to have to pay for. There's going to be parking, tolls, gas, and mileage, and miscellaneous expenses. And all of these things are really going to add up. So I'm going to explain how I arrive at each of these fees. So first, let's start with airfares. So there are going to be 2 of us traveling, and the rate for my airfares, I go on Google Flights. I have a travel policy which I send to my clients, which basically says, look, I am a 6'3" guy. I am not going to do a cross-country flight in the absolute back of the bus, so I require at least main cabin extra or economy plus or whatever they say. And I think that's fairly reasonable. I'm not going to fly 6 or 7 hours cramped up and arrive grumpy and agitated. So I have built into my contract a clause that says I'm going to get extra legroom when I fly. So I will go on Google Flights and I'll look up flights from New York to LA and vice versa. And that usually comes to something in the neighborhood of $450 to $550. So we'll put 500 in there, and that's going to be for both of us. So that's a round trip airfare from LA to New York. And that's going to come up as $1,000. Again, I put in 2 for me and my assistant. I have gotten questions like, do you always use the same assistant? And I've generally reverted to using only one or two assistants. And when I'm doing a travel job, it is a really, really good idea to fly with your assistant, because if you're carrying all this gear, you could have 7 or 8 cases of gear, and it is a complete nightmare to get that all from the airport to the rental car center to the hotel. It just helps so much to have someone who can watch your gear while someone goes and gets the car, someone goes and checks in. It's just awesome to have that extra set of hands. So I highly recommend traveling with your assistant whenever you can. So I've got 2 airfares for me and my assistant. I know that we're going to have excess baggage, and yes, I'm going to bill the client for that. Otherwise, we're eating into the bottom line, and they do want to pay us to fly out there, and these are the costs that come along with that. So now let's take a minute and talk about baggage. As a photographer, it is kind of a given that you're going to have excess baggage. So one thing that you should look into is media rate baggage on whatever airline you choose to fly. I'm an American Airlines guy, and I know that I only pay $50 for excess baggage, no matter the size or weight, because if you show up and you show that you are a member of the media or a working photographer or videographer, they will give you that special rate. I think it depends on the airline, but you've got to show a business card or like a badge or something, but look into that when you fly, so it's super helpful to keep the cost down. So I generally travel with 6 or 7 pieces of luggage. So when I type in this media rate, it's going to be $50 per each piece of bag, and keep in mind that you're going out and coming back. So if you have 6 pieces, it's actually going to be 12 media rates here, so that's going to be 12. So media rate at $50 each for 6 pieces of baggage round trip. Go ahead and click save. It's going to be $600 for that. And car rental, if you want to go on Alamo or National or Budget or whatever, and I usually find that car rental is like 40 or 50 bucks a day, so $50, and that's 3 days of car rental. So 3 days of car rental. Go ahead and click save for that. And hotels, if your client wants to put you up, I am absolutely happy to do that. Or if they want to pay for a hotel, again, go on Expedia, Travelocity, book a hotel. But we're in New York City, so I'm going to throw out maybe $250 a night for a hotel for 2 people and all of our equipment. So that's going to be $250. And I think we'll be there for 3 nights. So go ahead and hotels for 2 people and equipment for 3 nights, and click save. So the next thing we're going to talk about here are the meals. Now, this is something that you really have to sort of get a feel for, and I don't really think it's necessary, but I've had clients, my corporate clients, who say, gather all your receipts for your meals, send them to us, and we'll reimburse you. And then I have little, small operations, small architecture firms with 3 or 4 employees who they might just buy me lunch, and it might be a really low-key thing. So judge your client here. Try to get a feel for if they're more corporate, if they're used to expensing stuff like that. If not, you might be on your own. But for this job, they do seem like they're a bigger company, and they're in New York City. So we're going to add a line item for meals while we're on the road. And I think we're in New York, so it's going to be a little more expensive than if we were in somewhere like Omaha. I think maybe $60 a day per person is fair for meals. So if I were there for 3 days, remember, and there's 2 of us, so it's going to be 6 meals at $60 each. So that'll cover us both for 3 days. So 3 days of meals for 2 people. And we'll click save. And lastly is parking, tolls, gas, and mileage. This is kind of like a petty cash catch-all. If you're in New York, parking can be a little bit crazy, and I'm assuming the clients will understand. If they have a parking spot for you, again, that's not a problem, so you don't have to worry about it. But again, there could be tolls, there could be parking, that's all going to add up. So I usually do something like $20 a day for 3 days. And go ahead and click save. Okay, and that is our estimate so far. So what we're going to do, just like the last job, again, I've just filled out this form with all of the firm's information, my information, and some of the licensing terms. Again, social media, web, small print, and competition entry. Go ahead, click save, and we'll go back into the terms here. And I'm just going to, again, fill these out with my default information that I already explained. So I can go ahead and now I can send this estimate off. So I can go to this hamburger up here. I can click print estimate. And again, this little dialog box will come up. Go ahead and fill it out as you see fit. Click on print. And here is our estimate for 2 days of photography and our travel expenses. Okay, so let's say we've shot the job and we're ready to submit the invoice. All you need to do is go back into Blinkbid, click on the hamburger in this job, and then click Start Invoice. And this will transfer that job over to an invoice. And in order to send that to your client and change it from an estimate to an invoice, again, just go back up here, click Print Invoice. Again, all these terms will come up. Go ahead, choose what you like, go ahead and click Print. And you can now see that the job has changed from estimate to invoice, and you can send this off and receive your payment. Okay, so we've now finished the job, we've shot it, we've delivered it, and sent the invoice, and let's say something awesome happens, right? And this happens fairly often. I will shoot a job, and the photos will spread, and the owner of the hotel or the marketing agency or the firm itself, they'll contact me and say, we love these photos, we want to advertise with them. We want to run these as a full-page ad in a certain magazine, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you can come up with licensing terms to fit that usage. So this is where learning how to license your images really comes into handy, and I get a ton of questions about this. And one way that I found to deal with this is to figure out where they're going to put those images, what the advertising usage is going to be, and then we're going to do a little bit of research and find out what we should charge. So, for example, let's say that an advertising agency saw our pictures and wants to place them in a magazine to advertise this hotel. And they come to me and they say, we want to put an ad in, you name your favorite magazine, New Yorker, Time, whatever it may be, and we'd like to do that for 1 month just to kind of drum up some publicity about this place. So what we're going to do to figure out the licensing rate for that usage, and not only for just our architectural photography, but I use this all the time in my personal work as well, we're going to find the media kit of the magazine or newspaper that our client wants to advertise in. And what you can do, you can just go on Google and you can search. So New Yorker Magazine Media Kit, or you can search Condé Nast Traveler Media Kit. Every magazine will have a media kit. And in that media kit, they list their subscriber base, the circulation of the magazine, the amount that it costs for an advertisement to be placed in that magazine. And if you look these up, I'm pretty sure that you will be shocked at how much money is on the table in these transactions. Your clients may be paying a fortune to put an ad in some of these bigger magazines. So it's only fair that we license our image appropriately according to the usage and circulation of these publications. All right, to just show you what I'm talking about real quick, I'm just going to pull up a few media kits from some popular magazines and show you what kind of money is being spent on this advertising. So the first one here is the New Yorker. And if you look at the rates for a 4-color full-page ad, you can see it's $180,000 for 1 month, and you get a discount for more and more the more you buy. So if you look at, again, Southern Living, a relatively popular magazine, again for a 4-color full-page ad, $246,000. And lastly, if you go to a more popular architectural magazine here, Dwell, and you look at what a spread costs to be placed in Dwell, it's going to be $75,000. So you can see what it costs to advertise in these magazines. But that's not really what we are interested in. What we're interested in is the circulation of these magazines, and that's how we're going to find out how much we're going to charge for licensing. So also in these media kits, you can see the circulation base of the magazine. Now, if you look here at the Dwell Media Kit, we see a circulation of 325,000. That's guaranteed eyeballs on the magazine. So you can take that number, and then you can go to your favorite stock photo website. You know all of them out there. You can go to your favorite stock photo website, make an account, and then in many cases they will have a image fee calculator where you can pick an image and you can actually put in the circulation, the territory, the length of view. So if you know that there's a circulation of 500,000, for example, you can plug those numbers in. So say your client wants to buy a 6-month ad placement in whatever magazine with a circulation of 500,000, you can plug those figures into that stock photo price calculator, and that will then immediately give you the price that stock photo agency would charge for that image. Now, we have an advantage in that our images are unique. So you may want to charge a little more than what the stock photo agency spits out at you, or you might want to charge a little bit less. You might want to revise the terms with your client, and if they're not really going for it, you can say, how about we do for 1 month instead of 6 months, or 3 months instead of 6 months. So those stock photo sites will give you a fantastic starting place for calculating your usage rights. And this is also very important when you're doing personal work and a magazine or a book comes to you and they say, we'd love to use your photo in our publication. Well, you can say, all right, hold on, let me put a quote together. You can find their media kit, you can find advertising rates, you can find their circulation, plug those numbers into that stock photo site calculator, and it should give you a good ballpark idea of what you should be charging for your licensing. Now in front of me I have a price calculator for a stock photo site. In this case it's Getty. I'm not going to show the screen capture because I don't know what the legalities of that are. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through and using the information I have, we're going to do a 6-month ad placement in a magazine with a circulation of 500,000 in North America. So this is pretty simple. So the usage, it's select one, advertising, and then it's going to be in a print ad, a magazine, a newspaper. Continue to the next step. And then the number 2 drop down box here says usage specs. So size, we'll go full page, and circulation up to 500,000, and the start date, that can be today, and the duration is going to be 6 months, and then continue. And the last thing it has us do is put in the target market, which is the United States, and maybe Canada, because some of them might get up there as well. And we're going to do industry. I'm going to call this property and real estate or arts and entertainment, but I think we can go with property and real estate. And we're going to go ahead and click Get Price. And Getty's is going to spit out a price here. It says $4,435 for that usage in that one magazine. So, and now this is just the price that Getty is spitting out at me. Now, remember that Getty is basically the biggest producer of stock imagery in the world. It's a pretty solid resource for this kind of thing. But on top of that, also remember that Getty is stock photos. And what you have is a unique image that would cost a lot of money to replicate by any other photographer. So you do have some bargaining power. And I want you to remember that they've already sunk maybe $13,000 into this. And the ad that they're going to place might cost them tens of thousands and maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on where they put it. So for this price, $4,435, I think it's a relatively fair buy, and you should have plenty of resources to back you up on this. Okay, so Getty gave me $4,400 and change. I'm going to go with $5,000 because, like I said, I think this is a unique image, and I'm in a good position where to recreate that image might take a lot of time, money, and effort. So I'm going to make a license for a image buy using BlinkBid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my jobs here, and I'm going to go to New Job, and this is going to be image purchase for NYC Hotel. So I've created my job, and I've just, again, filled this out with basic information about the job, what I'm providing, and who it's going to be for. So I can go ahead and click Create. Okay, so this is going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to click this blue button here and start our project, and all I'm going to add is a stock usage line, and that's going to show up right down here. I can click on that to expand it, and the rate, like I said, is going to be $5,000, and in the memo I can explain about the rate. We'll go ahead and click Save. It's going to be 1, whatever. And now that we have our stock usage ready to go, what we're going to do is go to the terms. Now in the terms, we're going to build a license. And again, this is going to be very simple. We're going to put our client, and we're going to put our name. I generally don't require a credit for licensed images that aren't going to be used in editorial content. Pretty standard, like when you see an advertisement, you don't see photo by Mike Kelly at the bottom, so no worries about that one. The license can go into effect on whatever day. And how long can the work from the job be used? Now, it might be a one-time use, it might be perpetual, it might be 1 year. In this case, we know it is a one-time, 1 month thing, so we're going to click one-time use. If it was a 1 year use, for example, I could click on 1 year, and BlinkBid would keep track of that for me. So we're going to use one-time use. And what are the quantity rights? Unlimited. What kind of usage is this? Is this exclusive or non-exclusive? You'll have to work that out with your client, and you'll have to talk and decide if you can use these in addition to what he's chosen, or if he or she wants exclusive control over that image while it's being used as an ad. So this is, in particular, a non-exclusive use, and the work can be used, like we said, in the United States and Canada under United States copyright law, and the work can appear in an advertising print magazine, and we can be specific and name our actual magazine here. And we're going to go ahead and click Save. And as you see, that information is automatically filled out into the usage license box here on the right-hand side. Now, if this was a 6-month or 1 year license, what I could do is I could change this license, and I can make this a 1 year usage, right? Click Save. And now in my reports tab here in Blinkbit, if I click on this, I can go to the usage license tracker. It will actually show me when that usage is going to expire. And it will give me a little notification to let me know I have to follow up with them or relicense that image for use. So again, that's one easy way to keep track of the terms and length of use of your licenses. So now that we've estimated and bid on a couple of architectural jobs, let's go and take care of something that's a little bit more complicated.